This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their lands and for mine. And our last prelude song, When I Walk. When I walk in the Spirit. Oh, wrong song. I know, it probably would have been fine, wouldn't it have? Where is the one, the right one? Oh, it's back here. Here we go. Peace is every step. Here we go. I am a prayer for peace. Wherever I go, peace goes with me. I feel peace inside. With every breath, peace abides. I know the joy of peace. I choose fear to release. Every moment, love wakes up, and peace is every step. I am a prayer for peace. Wherever I go, peace goes with me. I feel peace inside. With every breath, peace abides. I know the joy of peace. I choose fear to release. Every moment, love wakes up, and peace is every step. Peace is every step. Peace is every step.
You get your panel, respond to all your panels.
Yeah, but we kind of have been doing different things these last couple of weeks, so.
Go ahead and sing the song.
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. So far, so good? Yeah, the weather's so beautiful. We're going to start our service today. Super. You can sit and sing as well, but if you want to stand. Here we stand this morning, everyone is family, brothers, sisters, we have come. Hearts and minds are open, voices sing, God's glory working wonders in our lives. We have come to be together. We have come to be renewed. We have come to be a light in the world. We have come to stand united. We have come to stand in truth. We have come to stand in the presence of God. Look around. God's light is spirit shining in our eyes. Through these doors, hearts rising in this room, arms opening, all who seek are welcome here. We have come to be together, we have come to be renewed, have come to be a light in the world. We have come to stand united, we have come to stand in truth, we have come to stand in the presence of God. We have come to be together, we have come to be renewed, we have come to be a light in the world. We have come to stand united, we have come to stand in truth, we have come to stand in the presence of God.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Good morning, Artie. Hi, friend. Good to see you. And welcome all of you who are watching this morning on the live stream as well. Certainly, we are feeling your presence here with us this morning. Thank you for joining us. This is a place of welcome. It is a place of affirmation. It is a place that knows beyond any shadow of a doubt and absolute faith that you are God's beloved in whom God is most well pleased. So welcome this morning. Please join me in our opening statement together. We are grounded in faith, trusting that God renews and uplifts us as we grow into the fullness of our divine potential. We are joyously grateful for every demonstration of God's infinite good in our lives. We are grounded, growing, and grateful. And so it is. Amen.
Let's all join in a congregational hymn, Sweep Over My Soul. Sweep over my soul, sweep over my soul. Come, gracious Spirit, sweep over my soul. Sweep out hate and fear, sweep out hate and fear. Sweep out hate and fear. Come, gracious Spirit, sweep out hate and fear. Sweep in love and peace. Sweep in love and peace. Sweep in love and peace. Come, gracious Spirit, sweep in love and peace. Sweep in grace and joy. Sweep in grace and joy. Sweep in grace and joy. Come, gracious Spirit, sweep in grace and joy.
Good morning, everyone. Can everybody hear me okay? Excellent. I'm Chris Klosterman. I'm the board vice president and a very, very happy congregant to be with you and to also be wearing shorts. So yay for the weather. So let's start off with the good news, and it's all good news. We will regather for Sunday services in the sanctuary on June 13th at 10 a.m. So the rest of the announcements here with this explain what we're looking for. We're trending in all of the good directions. Vaccinations are up. The county-wide percentage that we've been using from the CDC and the Lynn County Department of Public Health, as well as our epidemiologist friend Eli Perrin-Savage, looking for 3% of positivity. We're definitely near that, if not there at all already. And we're also looking at another metric, which is percent of positive cases per 100,000. We were looking at safe metrics of being 5 in 100,000, and we're very, very close to that. So everything is going in the right direction. We've got momentum, and we look forward to regathering on June 13th. But to get ready for that, please join us Wednesday evening, June 9th at 6 p.m. So the Wednesday before that Sunday, Wednesday, June 9th at 6 p.m. in our sanctuary, or virtually for a service of reflection, quiet music, and ritual as our Unity Cedar Rapids community prepares to regather. Our theme is recognizing the gifts of the experience, releasing that which no longer serves us, and moving forward with renewed wisdom, strength, optimism, and zeal. And that has been something that's been intentionally worked on by our LULs and by the rest of the staff to make sure that people are carefully and safely shepherded into this new phase and to take care of each other as we regather. This morning, right off to my left there, prayer team member Polly Gold is standing by to pray with you over the phone. You can reach her by calling 319-382-2009 immediately after the service. Or one of our licensed Unity leaders will pray with you after the service here at the center. So I mistimed my hand gesture. Right over there is where the LULs will meet with you in person. Polly Gold will pray with you over the phone at that number I mentioned. Please join me in our statement of purpose. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. We gather to create an experience of spirit. At UnityCR, we offer practical teachings that empower abundant and meaningful living. Meeting you right where you are, we endeavor to provide a variety of ways to support your path of spiritual living. Our mission is to provide spiritual awareness and share the wonder and joy of God's love. And now our daily word. As a quick aside, our own Laura Mead mentioned that if you look at the opening cover of June's edition of the Daily Word, you'll see a UCR alum, our very own Annie Scholl, has written an article right there in the front cover. So just FYI, thanks to Laura for pointing that out. But our daily word today is inner peace. Peace grows within me as I remain centered in God. Inner peace, the peace of God that my words can only begin to describe, does not depend on outer circumstances. Peace does not come from any external source. It arises from within me. At a place in consciousness sometimes called the center of my being, peace, like all the qualities of God, waits for me to recognize and claim it. I claim inner peace when I remember the truth that God's presence is always with me and within me. As I center my awareness in the divine presence within, peace soothes my feelings and restores order to my thoughts. I move through all circumstances with calm assurance. Peace grows within me as I remain centered in God. Every event in my day contributes to the calm peace of my soul. And from Isaiah chapter 26, verse 3, those of steadfast mind keep you in peace. Those of steadfast mind you keep in peace because they trust in you. Thank you.
And before Josh comes up to share with us what's going on in our youth and family ministry, I want to share a couple of rites of passage that have occurred within some of our young folks who are members and friends of our congregation. First of all, the son of Jill and Finn Meadows, Nolan Vibiker, is graduating high school. I think he graduated this past week from City High School in Iowa City, so we want to congratulate him. And then Ella Mortensen, who is the daughter of Mary and Josh Hahn, also graduated. So we have 2 high school graduations. Yay! So congratulations to them. So Josh.
There was not a dry eye in the house. Good morning, Unity family. It is a pleasure to stand up here and let you know what's going on with our YFM today. It is the 5th Sunday and it's a holiday weekend, so I think those things have come together to let us have some fun. We're going to hang out in the Peace Garden and just chat about what it's been like to experience the power of power this past month. And then next week, we'll be starting the power of imagination. We'll also have our a Zoom tag up next week. It'll be our last one before we come back into the rooms. So if you're interested in joining in that Zoom tag up, please look for the e-news and we'll have that information on how to join with us. We'll be able to touch base on what is expected of us as we come back into the building as the YFM part of our congregation, and then also just talk about what imagination is. So we are walking in the light. I'm not creative today. That's next month.
We are walking in the light. We are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light, in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God. We come to thee, O Lord, in silent prayer. Our hearts to thee, our hearts to thee are open now. Amen. Amen.
Indeed, we come to thee, O God, in silent prayer. And as we close our eyes and open our hearts to that infinite presence within us, we invite that presence to be made known within every part of us. We are aware, awake, grounded. For it is that in which we live and move and have our being. And we know that that infinite presence of God that is love quietens and assuages any fear, concern that we might have, and causes within us the experience of untroubled hearts. Untying the knots of confusion, dispelling the darkness of doubt and concern and worry. reminding us of the words of our way shower, our elder brother, Jesus, who said, "Peace I leave you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." And so let this be a time, let this be a moment in which you allow the love, the peace that passes all understanding to untrouble your heart, to lift whatever burden you may be carrying, whether it is grief or loss. Allow the light of God to shine within you to all the corners of your being. Allow the life of God to live through you, to quicken within every cell of your body perfect wholeness and health. Allow the peace and the love of God to wash through you, grounding you, healing you, mind, body, and emotions. And as you rest now in silence and quietness for just a few brief moments, remember these words: peace I give you. Peace I leave you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. God, we thank you for the sounds of nature that surround us, that bring us such peace, that remind us that you are around us, beside us, before us, behind us, beneath us, above us, but most importantly, you are within us, expressing in us, through us, as us. We thank you for the touch of the cool breeze on our faces, a reminder of your spirit that moves in and through us. We thank you for this time in which we have remembered that your peace untroubles our hearts. And as we now begin to bring our attention back to this room and to this time, to this place, to our surroundings, we are so grateful, and we say, thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God. And so it is, and so it shall ever be. Amen.
Notes and make sure we're in sync with each other. And then Allie's going to play a piece by George Friedrich Handel a minuet and bourrée. Oh, gotta turn my sound up. That would help. That sounds good. We're all ready to play these songs on Mother's Day. Something happened. We didn't have Mother's Day.
It was raining.
It rained. Yeah, it was cold. So they had to
And then
wait.
you skipped it.
And then we skipped it. So glad you came back to this. Thank you very much, you guys.
Thank you so much, Ethan and Allie. That was great. Thank you. Yay. Yay. Great day to celebrate our young folks with graduations and music and all kinds of rites of passage. It's wonderful. My first church as a newly ordained Unity minister was as an associate in Atlanta, Georgia. And the church was a large Unity church, and I was serving with my friend Albert Wingate, who's a longtime friend of mine. We've served together a couple of times. And he was the senior and I was the associate, and he asked if I would consider coming to serve with him. And I did. And I'm glad I did, because that's where I met my husband. But I'll tell you that story someday. It's a long, convoluted story that I'll tell you, but one that I'm sure that God's hand was in. So about 2-3 years after arriving, we realized that we needed to build an education building. The building that we were using was an old mansion, really, in Atlanta that needed a lot of work. And rather than putting a lot of extra money into that building, we decided to build an education building. The sanctuary was relatively new, about 10 years old, but that old house was probably built in about 1906, 1907, so it needed a lot of work. And I think there was some asbestos involved as well. So we needed to build a new building, and it was going to be a multi-million-dollar project, and so we decided we needed help. So we called in a consultant that had worked with some other Unity churches, and he worked with other mainline denominational churches as well. I think he worked with a Methodist church alongside, concurrent with the time that he was working with us. But a theme that he shared with us, that he asked us to consider, one that was working well in the other churches that he was serving, the ones not Unity, was one, the theme was equal sacrifice, not equal gifts. Equal sacrifice, but not equal gifts. Now, we were quite adamant that our belief that the word sacrifice didn't exactly fit into our Unity prosperity teachings, and that was not part of our normative Unity language. But over the past few years, I believe I've made peace with that word. We ended up using the theme equal commitment, not equal gifts. The word sacrifice is actually a word that comes from the Latin root, which means to make sacred. So the word sacrifice means to make something sacred. So today, on this Memorial Day, we thank those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for all of us and for our country. We thank those who served and lost their lives in all of our country's wars. Jesus, as recorded in John chapter 15, says, "No greater love than this is to lay down one's life for one's friends." Now, I stand before you a pacifist, or at least that's how I think of myself. But I know that there is this internal conflict in me at times when my idealism and my realism come to blows. But I also stand before you as a person who came of age during a generation who disdained the very notion of patriotism. We were just after the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War ended when I was 14, 15 years old. And the kind of patriotism that we were concerned about was that was linked to a particular political stance, something akin to, unfortunately, the hyper-patriotism and partisanship we see in our country today. But I have, again, in my maturity, softened a bit. I know that I am a citizen of the world, first and foremost. And certainly, I'm not ashamed of my pacifistic tendencies. I think that that's what God calls us to be peacemakers in the world. And I think Bertrand Russell says it best, however, nobody minds a war once in a while if it doesn't last too long and it isn't in your neighborhood. And I think for many of us, that's been our experience of war. Certainly it was different for my mother and my grandparents in World War II when they made true sacrifices for our country and for that effort. And we aren't currently at war, not certainly in the sense that my grandparents and my mother experienced, but we have come out of wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, one that we seem to be winding down at the moment. But we are experiencing something right now in our country that is bound up in this very idea of what it means to be a patriot. I think that anyone who makes a sacrifice for their country is a patriot. Now, that sacrifice can be speaking one's mind, calling us to be something better than we might be, offering ourselves to serve in a way that moves us toward living in perfect and divine peace. And certainly we must live according to our convictions if we are to serve well. And so if you hear anything coming from the platform, the sidewalk today, that doesn't mesh with your convictions, know that these are my convictions. And unless I share them with you, I don't think I'm worthy to be your spiritual leader. So today, let's talk about courage, commitment, and yes, even sacrifice. Certainly, these attributes are expressed by those who served in our military, those that we honor today on this Memorial Day, those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives. But by lifting up their memory, we also lift up a new vision of our country, one in which we express true courage. In the book of Joshua, we find these words, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Courage means fortitude. It means perseverance. To be courageous is to face the world with faith, knowing that God is with you wherever you go, even if your opinion and your idea is vastly different from your neighbor or your family member or your friend. To be courageous is to face the world with faith, as I said. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face, and you are able to say to yourself, I have lived through this. I can take the next thing that comes along." And she says, you must do the thing you think you cannot do. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. And there are times when I look at the world around me, when I look at what is occurring in our country at this moment, when I think that there's just things that are happening that I have no control over. I have no way to change. I have no power to heal. But that is so very wrong. It takes courage. It takes courage to live our lives grounded in peace. It takes courage to lead our lives still invested in this perhaps idealistic view that God's kingdom is a kingdom of love and inclusion and peace, and that we can bring it forth into existence. We must do the thing we think we cannot do. And as we face our fears with courage and confidence, those fears will dissolve before us. As Joshua reminds us, do not be dismayed, for God is with you wherever you go. And we can live with untroubled hearts. Joan Borshenko, I read this book some years ago, and I pulled it out recently. It's called The Fire in the Soul. And in that book, she describes 3 levels of courage. First of all, willful courage. This is the application of a strong will that allows us to function in spite of fear. Now, we might be still fearful, but we buck up and we get on with things. You know that mug, what does it say? Keep calm and carry on. Thank you for that. And certainly that's where we've been in the last 14 months. We've had no option. We've had to keep calm and carry on. The second level is psychological courage. This is the stage in which we begin to dismantle our old coping mechanisms that no longer work for us, and we begin to challenge our responses to the world around us. We acknowledge that we are fearful, and that fear is a symptom of some inner driving emotion. And we begin to look at that internal material, and we begin to transform it and heal it. And sometimes what drives that is our fear of the unknown. But then this moves us to spiritual courage. And here is where we want to be. Spiritual courage is the inner knowing that there is no need to be frightened or dismayed, for God is with you wherever you go. Even in the midst of this hyper-partisan moment in which we find ourselves, even as we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel after a pandemic, this kind of courage reminds us that we can face any difficulty with untroubled hearts. Jesus said, also recorded in the Gospel of John, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, give I unto you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid." This is a peace that's, as the Apostle Paul reminds us in one of his letters, that passes all understanding. A peace that grounds us, even though the world around us may look quite different. It might be chaotic. It might elicit fear and evoke fear from within us, but we can still be grounded in divine peace. There's this Zen Buddhist teaching story that tells of a general who was leading his troops through the province after province, overrunning and destroying whatever stood in his path. He was brutal, and his cruelty preceded him wherever he went. The general arrived in an empty town with his army, and he sent them to search this town. And it was reported to the general that only one person remained, a Buddhist priest. The general strode to the temple. He walked in, he pulled his sword from the scabbard and exclaimed, "Don't you know who I am? I am the one who can run you through without blinking an eye." To which the Zen master replied calmly, grounded in peace, "And sir, I am the one whom you can run through without batting an eye." The general heard this and realized that he had met his superior. He bowed and he left. That is true spiritual courage. Peace, courage, is an internal experience and has little to do with what occurs in the world around you. Another important element is integrity. The word integrity comes from a Latin word, integritas, which means whole or complete. To be integrous means that we operate from our understanding of wholeness. It means that we let that understanding direct our words, our actions, our relationships with others. To be integrous means that we stand in spiritual soundness and live from it, no matter the direction, no matter the difficulties around us. To be integrous is to be powerful and courageous and strong, and to speak and live your truth in completeness to the best of your understanding. It is a willingness to be peace in the world. As a child growing up in rural Tennessee, Memorial Day wasn't a day for parades or fireworks or picnics or visits to the beach. We would pile into the back of my granddad's pickup truck with our lunch and head to the cemetery where we cleaned and mowed the graves of our ancestors and planted flowers and bushes and trees. And every year I would hear the same stories again and again about the generations that spanned over 200 years in this place, about great aunts and great uncles, about grandparents and great grandparents and great great grandparents and family friends. And I think that we've lost something in our society by turning this into a day only of celebration, as the celebration of the first day of summer. We have lost the opportunity to hear the stories of those who lost their lives, perhaps living out their convictions in war. We have lost an opportunity to hear the stories that shaped who we are as people and as a family. And for many, this day remains a day of mourning and grief, not a day of celebration. But again, it is also a day on which many long for peace in our world. Jesus again reminds us, peace I leave you, my peace I give you, not as the world give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. And as we're talking about loss, which we've talked a lot about these last 14 months, we all can relate to that. The loss of lived experience over this past 14 months. The loss of trees, the loss of homes, the loss of neighborhoods after the storm. But loss is an inevitable part of life. I love, as I've mentioned before, I love the hymn, an old hymn, Abide With Me. I love the words. The hymn reminds us, all else is changing, thou alone art sure. The hymn reminds us that the world changes all the time, that our city changes. It looks different after a storm. Our lived experience is changed and transformed during a pandemic. But what we can know and what we can understand is that there is that within us, around us, in which we live and move and have our being that never changes, and we can anchor ourselves in that unchanging nature of God. And know that we have a remarkable tendency toward transformation and healing. God is changeless. God is sure. And I think for me, over the past 14 months, there's been this vague sense or feeling of depression, a vague troubling in my heart as I've longed to see where we are now, this glimpse of light at the end of the tunnel. And certainly this depression, vague though it might be in me, is sometimes described as a place in which there are no ideas, no solutions, nothing to hang on to. But in this place of emptiness, in this place of grief, in this place within us, there is something to hang on to, and that is God. As we listen to the news, as we witness what is occurring in our nation at the moment, there is something that we can hang on to. Grief is complicated. The sense of loss is complicated. Each person must experience it in their own way. And on this Memorial Day, we allow ourselves to experience it in whatever way is appropriate and healing for us. And I think we, as part of that sense of loss and grief, and as that opening within us, it is well to remember those who have sacrificed so much. But in these days, as we begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel, we know that we will rise out of it, that there is no reason to be fearful or dismayed, and that the courage that arises from this depth of the divine within us helps us to face any difficulty in our culture, our society, our country, our world, with untroubled hearts. Peace I leave you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. God bless you.
And so we've reached the time in our service for our offertory. For those of you who would like to gather your tithes and offering in physical form or as energy, I invite you to do so. Not only do we increase our flow, we are the flow. And I invite you to know the offertory statement with me. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful.
One of our old favorites, I've got Peace Like a River. I invite you to stand and sing if you'd care to.
I will teach you the movements that the Youth of Unity used to do at my church if you would like.
You want to teach it as we sing
Yes,
or before?
I will teach it as we sing.
Oh, that's cool. Here we go. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain in my soul. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain in my soul.
Okay, this is my favorite.
I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. Yay!
So next time we sing that, I expect you to remember that. So let's join now in singing Let There Be Peace on Earth. And join hands if you're comfortable. And if you're not, make sure you just put your hands out.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect unity. Let peace
Begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyful vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth.
let it be with me.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Wherever I am, God is. And truly we know that all is well. God bless you, friends. Thank you for being with us today. I think we have coffee and cake and some donut holes, so come join us. Thank you for coming.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. Love that butterfly shirt. Just love that. So good. Oh. No, I didn't notice it, but that is so cool. Yay. You got your own.